All right, let's get started. So I know it's been a long 4 hours. By this time, we probably would have taken a flight, to like New York or something. So you guys are good. You don't need to like stretch, stand up, get some more sangria, some more pastelitos or montaditos. We're good? Okay, let's get started. We are Colloquial. My name is Juan Buritica, and I am the account director here at the agency. We have our account planner, Nirvana Araujo. We have our account and media planner, Flavia San. Our PR director, Morgan Pritchett. Our creative lead, Samuel Garcia. Our creative director and copywriter, Paula Toledo. And our director, Fernanda da Silva. So why Colloquial? Colloquial is here to tell it to you straight, just how it is. This is who we are. So think of us like your key advisors here in Miami. You're in our home, and we're gonna guide you through the ins and outs of our neighborhood. I'm not standing here talking to you guys just without doing our homework. We did do our homework. We went out into the street, and we found out what people on the streets are looking for in an airline. So this is a presentation by us for you about them. So let's get started. Back in February, when Europa came into our classroom, it was really interesting. Jerry opened the doors to his company, and it allowed us to glimpse into what the Europa brand stands for and what they've done up until today. He told us about how it started in Spain and how it broke through a monopoly and how stride after stride you got to the reputation that you have today. So I'm not going to stand here and talk to you guys about everything about that we already know about Europa, because it's pretty much already been covered by all the other 4 teams. So let's get to the point, right? We're Colloquial after all. So I'm going to mention some highlights of what we heard back then in February. So 3. Only 3 people in the entire class knew who you guys were. So that was our first and most important insight, brand awareness here in Miami. We need to put Europa on the spot. In the map, we need to know who you guys are. But we also saw 3 great things, 3 amazing things about this brand. We saw you guys are innovative. You guys are equipped to meet the needs of your clients, going and having various healthy options from the menu in the plane to a top-of-the-line fleet. That's amazing. You guys are also experienced. You have a long track record in the industry. You are a company built around family values for families that value. And we saw affinity. Call it a connection, if you will, right? We saw a connection between Miami and Spain. These 2 cities are cultural hubs, and we saw an opportunity to tap into these cultural subgroups. So today, we're gonna talk to you guys, and we're gonna take you through a ride of our presentation. Why? Because we know what your goals are, and we know your capacity and what you're capable of. So we're gonna explore the analytics, or the raw numbers, that raw data that we saw out there on the streets. We're gonna go through the intangibles, those things you really can't see, but they're really there. And we're gonna go through the strategy, what to do to get it done. We're gonna go through the execution, how to do it and get it done. And we're gonna go through the media mix and see how our strategy is gonna play out through the channels when it's done. Passing it over to my co-hustler, Nirvana Araujo.
Hi. So we wanted to know what the consumer wanted, and we went and did primary research. It was a combination of qualitative and quantitative with focus groups, interviews, and surveys for a total of 120 participants. With this research, we found out that people need to travel. They want to get away. For them, Europe means good food, high fashion, and rich history. They also value a lot of recommendation and Google. That, for them, that's a key thing in their decision making. And even though they value a lot of value for them is really important, like price, they value comfort a lot more. Price takes us the back seat. Also, from this research, only 15% of the participants knew about the brand, and they didn't have a strong opinion about it. But this is an opportunity. According to Think with Google, 30% of travelers think about going on a trip at least once a month, and 14% do it at least once a week. But 78% of them don't know who they're gonna book with. So we have an opportunity here. But if we're not if they're not aware that we exist, then they're not gonna book with us. Now, Paul is gonna talk about some intangibles.
All right, so let me tell you a little story that we can't tell through measurement or research. So, recently in the news, there's been a lot of challenges with some airlines. They've taken a lot of heat, but there's been a lot of collateral damage to the other major players in that market as well. But the united problem is good for us and bad for the other major players. Now let me tell you why. So there's this little brand called Virgin America. And you're probably thinking, why is she talking about another airline during our presentation? But just stick with me. I think there's a lot of parallels in their story from 10 years ago that could be great for Air Europa in 2017. So Richard Branson started his airline in 2007. He owns Virgin Atlantic, and he started Virgin America because he thought in the US there was a lot of airline consolidation. That means there was a lot of monopoly in the market and there wasn't much choice out there for the consumer. And he felt like the consumer really wanted good customer service and that he could offer that. By 2013, Richard had the best brand or the best airline according to all the quality rating reports and has maintained such through the last few years. But in 2016, he sold the airline to airline consolidation, the same thing he was fighting when he started it. So what does that mean for us? There's only 4 major players in the market and they own 70%. A decade ago, when Richard started, there were 9. So what does that mean? We can be a really little fish in a very big pond, and that shouldn't be scary. You know why? Because it's in our brand DNA. We beat up a monopoly in Spain, and we can do it here. And we can do it like Richard did, with a small feat. They had 55 planes, and we have 53. So it's possible. Now back to Nirvana.
So like this, we were able to identify our consumer. Our consumer is the rookie jet setter. They're trying to adult. They're probably on their first career job. This is their first legit trip. This trip they researched, booked, and paid for all on their own. They're also looking for an experience, not just a vacation. So they're relying on other people's experiences to make their own decisions. So they're the ones online and on the go. So if they fly with us, we're gonna be visible. So what's our objective? Our objective is to create brand awareness by positioning Air Europa with a unique benefit. In other words, to let them know that we exist, that we are here, and that we are an airline. The problem is that there is so much going on in the media with other airlines that the consumer has been left in the dark. These airlines are bickering at each other and the consumer is not getting what they need or want, which is services and getting from point A to point B. This led us to our insight, which is when we go through chaos, we look to revert back to the fundamentals that will bring us to order. In other words, we go back to the essentials, which is our strategy. We move you from point A to point Zeta, which brings us to our big idea, which is we fly. So Sammy, take over.
All right. The following video will demonstrate our brand manifesto.
Air Europa began its service from Miami to Madrid in 2015. While flights are steadily booked throughout the year, Air Europa is struggling to connect with consumers and only has 10% brand awareness in the market. With hopes to expand to other US markets, Air Europa must gain brand awareness and a unique brand position. That's where Colloquial comes in. Our solution? We fly. With the 9 major airlines consolidating down to 4, the U.S. market is monopolized by choice and standards of operations set by these airlines, otherwise known as unfair. Air Europa has the unique opportunity to be a small player that makes big olas. We Fly brings flying back to flying, moving people from point A to point Zeta. Our goal? Tell people who we are and what we do. That's it. And yet the messaging is meaningful. Spain, being a collectivist society, helped us choose between We Fly You and We Fly. Although the campaign is appearing in the US market, we wanted the brand to be connected to its culture, but with an American attitude of individualism and masculinity. We Fly is a simple statement, but it speaks to other US carriers having lost sight of the consumer and their needs. As part of the We Fly campaign, we also wanted to expand on tone and branding elements that represented Air Europa on the ground and in the aire. With our target consumer, the rookie jet setter, aged 25 to 35, we thought a mix of witty and brand-centric language would hit the dulce spot. Stylistically, our branding is crisp and light in order to match the direct and subversive tone. Sounds cool, right? And remember, we fly.
Okay. Well, as our brand manifesto showed, Colloquial is proposing that a young and fresh advertising strategy will be placed for the airline in its penetration for the Miami market. We want to create a unique and memorable experience for the flyer, and we want to do that by making sure that every moment of travel is remembered. Therefore, we created a line of branded items to be used by the airline. All the items, sorry about that. All the items carry a uniform branding look with the same vibrant colors, and as you can see, there are fun, short, and catchy lingos attached to each of these very items. The reason behind that is that Spain, yes, is a Spanish brand, so we included some Spanish words in here. As you can see, the wine bottle says suave, because we all know wine goes down smooth. We got some hand soap, where it says clean manos, because we all like fresh, clean hands after we use the restroom. Then there's some nice hand lotion, where it says more suave, because we all know we like soft hands. And we got some pins that you can put on your favorite jacket or cap, and like that, there'll be conversations for decades and decades to come. No, not yet. Not yet, not yet. Like I said, these are memorable and useful items that people will eventually keep. And this means that these are conversation starters, storytelling. So like you said, capture the heart, then capture the mind. If we have stories to tell, we talk through emotion, correct? Well, our whole big idea is to capture the attention of our target audience, which is those people who like their message to be received clear and fast. And now, I pass you my co-hustler, Fernanda.
Thank you, Sam. All right, so let's take a look at a few of the executions now. It's okay. So we decided that we were going to go with very simple executions because we want to tell people, hey, we fly. That's what we need to tell them. We need them to know that we're an airline, and what we do is that we fly planes. So our idea is to simply tell people our brand is flying, have pretty pictures that are going to call their attention and are going to relate back to the brand and to whatever the brand is going to. So this is something that can be adapted later. And then simply Air Europa, we fly. And then this works with the Miami market because, as we know, Americans, we are an individualistic society, and therefore we work with with high context, which means that we need to have messages that are simple and to the point. We can't have things that are too abstract and that are going to take too much time thinking. And so millennials too need messages that are fast. We don't want to waste our time. We don't have time to waste. You know, we're too busy posting selfies on the internet. So like we need the message fast, and our brand is flying is going to do that. We also have some other executions, such as outdoors. So these would be placed all over the city. 70% of our budget is for outdoors. And the reason why is because we want our name out there. We want people anywhere in the city to see our name. So this is an example of an ad that would be placed close to the airport, and it would say, Mira, if it's 9:31 p.m., look up. Miami to Madrid daily at 9:30 p.m. A taxi cab, it would just say, taxis drive, we fly, Air Europa. And we also know that our target audience is always online. And through research, we found out, or we just confirmed, that a lot of these people, that they do part of their research to fly online. So what better way to target them than online? So we would use retargeting banners in websites such as TripAdvisor, which is one of the websites that they use to research these tickets. And we would simply say, flying to Madrid? Hey, we fly. Have you ever seen a flying review? Neither have we, but Air Europa flies.
And so another execution that we have is Spotify, but we're not just going to do radio spots on Spotify. They have something called the branded moment, and in the branded moment, you can target your audience where they are during a moment. So we chose like the party. So your audience is going to have a party, and so they get this ad that says you can have 30 minutes of uninterrupted play, and then we serve them. It's just a small little ad, but we don't really tell them. We keep it simple. We just tell them, oh, we engage with them about their party, and then just tell them, oh, remember, we fly. So it's simple, to the point, and it just engages them when maybe their friends are talking and hitting it off, and they're like, oh, we should have a flight, or we should go somewhere, and they're like, oh, I just saw an ad, we fly.
Oh, and let me just mention one more thing about that, is that that's not necessarily going to take them to the Air Europa site or to buy the tickets, but they're going to know the name, and that's what we need right now. That's our main goal right now, is that they know what Air Europa is, and not that they think it's an air conditioning company. And then another very important tactic that we can use are influencers. 92% of people, according to Forbes, trust influencers more on purchasing opinions rather than a celebrity endorsement or an advertising. So with that, we picked a few influencers. These are YouTuber vloggers, and they are medium-sized reach. These are not people who have millions and millions of followers, but this is good for us because they're cheaper and because we have different kinds of audiences that we can target. Instead of getting one celebrity vlogger and getting him to maybe target his audience, we get a bunch of medium-sized vloggers and target all of their audiences. And these influencers can be used in multiple ways. So we can have them on YouTube posting about their flying experience and then mentioning our brand. We can have them on Facebook 360, and they're gonna show us what their flying experience is like and allow you to see what it's like inside the plane, allow you to see what it's like in the Air Europa flying experience. And we can have them on Instagram. And Instagram is an interesting point because Instagram, these people who are influencers and who have a lot of followers, they tend to post pictures that are beautiful and that have a lot of likes. So if we get those pictures and we create the hashtag WeFlyGram, and they use that hashtag, and that hashtag links back to us, we can create a database full of pictures that we can repost. And we can feature all of these pictures in our Instagram. And then one, we'll have a beautiful account, and two, we'll have all of their friends come to our account to like their picture too. Okay, I'm gonna send it over to Flavia.
All right, so our main goal here is to increase brand awareness and recognition. Our strategy would be to have a heavy coverage on the primary months of October, November, and December. Why these months? It's high season, everyone's traveling. We have Thanksgiving, we have Christmas, and we have New Year's. So how are we gonna do it? We're gonna use 70% of our advertising efforts to out-of-home advertising, which would be outdoors, bus shelters, text banners, banners on buses, and all of that. We're also going to use 30% of our advertising to digital or internet. We're going to do Spotify, like Paula mentioned, Facebook, Instagram, and also the travel websites. It's something that we plan on doing continuous throughout the year to drive traffic to the website. So the plan is to have an increase of 30% by the end of December 2017 and 50% by the end of summer 2018. All right, so this is kind of like a visual of the strategy. To build awareness, we want to use social media. the YouTube, the vloggers, the hashtag on Instagram, the retargeting ads, Facebook 360, and also create engagement through these social media platforms. We want to generate conversation through Instagram and Facebook by using the vloggers and the hashtag and like sharing posts. For the transaction, we're going to do the retargeting banners that are going to be throughout the whole year. The idea is to have the banners there and then send people directly to Air Europa website. And then the continuity would be to have them still like engage with the website and also with the vloggers and keep the conversation going, Air Europa in their mind. So to conclude, our main goal here is to increase awareness and recognition among our target market, and we want to ultimately drive them to Air Europa's website. Sorry, I'm going to pass it up to Morgan.
Okay, so a winning campaign needs a winning PR plan. Our three key stakeholders are customers, media outlets, and employees. So each of the stakeholders have three main goals, and the main goals have an execution to make them happen. So for customers, our main goal again is brand awareness. Increase brand awareness through a strategic and integrated PR and marketing plan. How? Branding, 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 branding has to happen. Whatever's on the plane, whether it's, as you saw on the slide with the wine bottle and tissues, condoms, blankets, whatever it is, brand awareness is something that's memorable and practical. It's something that consumers can take home. Second stakeholder, the main goal for media outlets for Air Europa would be to collaborate with these influencers, these media influencers, and to use organic search engine optimization through social media, as well as alternative forms of media such as billboards, so saturating Miami, heavy traffic areas in Miami with billboards. That would be an example of the execution. For employees, we really need that connection between employees and, oh sorry, way too close, okay, I'm into it. So we need that connection between employees and the consumers, the customers. So how we can do this is by just making sure that employees really understand that they're brand ambassadors. They're more than just employees, they're brand ambassadors. And specifically flight attendants, they are the eyes of the sky, if you will. So when it comes to the flight attendants, they are ideal brand ambassadors as well as tour guides. So this is where in the execution, flight attendants are to introduce and recommend customers to AIRI, coined from aire, air. AIRI would be Air Europa's personal concierge on the site. And AIRI would be someone that can answer any question. You type in, where can I get tapas in Spain? AIRI answers it instantly. Even questions about the flight, anything. As someone who's a rookie jet setter myself, I've traveled my whole life with my parents, and I've started to make flights by myself. I've been to Africa, I've lived in Brazil, I've lived in Portugal, I've been to 15 countries in Europe. I realized that, unbiased to my team, that this is truly strategic. No one knows Miami better than us, local people to Miami, and truly, rookie jet setters, we love advisors. If we all want to, hang out after this presentation and we don't like the stars that a restaurant we haven't gone to has, we're not going there. So AIRI really is the key to advising the customers as to where to go. And that's what the employees would really push AIRI. And so here's an example of AIRI in the platform that would be native to the site. Again, for you, by us. Back to my co-hustler Juan.
All right, thank you, Morgan, for that awesome presentation from AIRI. Guys, I started the conversation saying short, quick, and to the point. That's Colloquial. That's who we are, right? So, like we say, gotcha, Grisel, 5 minutes. I see you. Okay, so like we were saying, right to the point. And like how we say, hashtag sin filtro, right? Or in Spanish, directo al grano. You guys gave us no budget, but we know everybody likes to save, unless you're like rich and you wanna like make it rain over here in this campaign, which I don't think is the case. So we developed this campaign thinking cost effective. Within the book that we provided in the flash drives, you'll find a budget. We're an agency and we gave you a breakdown of what it would take and how much it would cost to get this done. Again, let me stress this to you guys because this is important. This campaign by us, by Colloquial, is ready to go right now. That's the most important thing. And it's not just that, it's a campaign that it's the umbrella for future campaigns. It's something we can use after the branding, after that connection with our clients, with the market here in Miami, in Spain. This is the future of Air Europa here in Miami, to Madrid, and beyond. Why? Because we know you, we know what you need, and we know how to get it done. So now we know Air Europa, we know you fly, but when do we fly?
Okay.
Okay. It's dark. First, I think the presentation is very well structured, very detailed, very to the point. I've heard like 2 or 3 times simple to the point, and for me simple is beautiful, especially in a 30 minutes presentation where you have to show a lot of things that you've worked in for a long period. So first, the presentation I think is very well structured. Another thing is you have a branding. Look at you. You are the brand of Colloquial. So if you are the brand, you are in a very good position to teach another companies to brand themselves. So this is very important. Another thing that I like is that influencers, of course, influencer marketing. It's not about social media. It's not about YouTube. It's also about influencer marketing right now. So when I saw influencer marketing, I say yes, they got it. So from my point of view, everything was really good. On the no side is that the execution in the bus, in the outdoor, and everything. I see the branding, the logo, the Europa logo, very small. And you were right. You're right. You don't have a lot of time to go to see one ad, so you have to go directly to the point, clear messages, very clear, but the logo, the branding has to be bigger there. And congratulations, guys. Very good work.
On that note, I just want to mention, the reason behind the branding and having it so small is we live today, you're driving down 95 and you see so many billboards and you see so many brands that right now Air Europa is going to get lost in the market with like their brand. So we wanted to find out a way to engage the public, and be it through humor or be it through something like, hey, like look up. That's when you set your brand apart. You know, you're gonna break through that clutter, which right now we need to do that. So that was the idea behind it. Thank you.
A couple of quick things. So the slogan "We Fly" has some legs to it in connecting to other brands. So one of the things in branding that you want to try to do is have your brand associated with at least equal or better brands, right? So the concept of maybe putting in BMW, we drive, Air Europa, we fly. So people connect Europa with BMW. So, you know, you start connecting a top brand with another brand. Ritz-Carlton, we lodging. you know, Europa, we fly. So it has some good legs to it that I like. Now, maybe for the rest, for the other group, and not in, you know, one thing, when you talk about research, when you talk about the qualitative as well as quantitative, on the qualitative side, when you have focus groups, et cetera, it's not just getting the initial understanding of the company and the brand. You always want to try to go back and, if you can, test the slogan. You want to try to do focus groups and test 2 or 3 different slogans to see if yours pops up as the top. That way, and from those focus groups, you can actually get the feedback that I just gave you. You know, because it would have been nice to have shown, you know, BMW, we drive. Everybody knows that brand. Europa, we fly. So, so anyways, in that sense, I think brand connection could actually work really well. And again, I go back to the issue that I made earlier, and we've talked about a little bit about budgeting. I know you didn't give them a budget, but I think it's always important in any campaign, because I used to do campaigns, and I was both the client as well as the agency, and budgets become critical. So even if you didn't have to show it, it would have been good to have had something in it. Maybe it's in the book. I don't know.
It is.
Just very simple, just like the name, Colloquial. You kept it simple, and I like that. At the beginning, when you said we fly, I thought for some reason I've seen it before in another campaign, but as you continue talking about it, I didn't care that I saw it before, because you built on it, and you were building a reputation, and that's all I cared. So I don't care if I've seen it, I heard it before. Yeah, so you kept it simple.
Yeah, that was good. It was fun to listen to. I had, you know, you kind of had a whole storytelling thing going on there that, you know, maybe I would have some tweaks, but it got me, you know, I think it fulfilled the purpose of storytelling, which is kind of wondering, why is she talking about that, or why are they talking about this now, right? So I thought that that was interesting. I was impressed with the kind of, besides the advertising and consumer insights, that you had kind of the business insight and compared it to Virgin. And I don't know, I don't have the knowledge to know if it's valid, if it's a valid comparison, but I thought it was a good, it kind of got my attention and made me see that parallel. So I thought that was good. I had mixed feelings about your informal style, you know, I mean, it definitely, you come across as a team, but again, I think it's a little risky to say, well, are we so young and informal and we're about to break into dance here, or are we? But I think you kind of, by emphasizing the rookie flyer, you know, and things like that, it worked. But just something to think about, that it could be risky. The AF, I thought maybe you were gonna refer to that at some point, but if it's an inside joke or something, you know, just those things can be distracting. It is colloquial, you know, so. Things to think about, right? Always trying to think of who's your audience, what's their generation, what could they be thinking of, but you know, I think I agree that you came across as a credible team that had a kind of a style to you, a personality to you. So a nice data visualization on the media plan, so to highlight that as a distinction. I guess I really like the airy concierge. I think it also fits that generation that always needs to have someone to ask questions to and get immediate answers, or they call the manager or the chair, you know. So I thought that was something that would probably be inexpensive to do. And the only, I guess, area for improvement, I would say the PR strategy sounded more like branding than PR. Like, I'm not sure what the PR was. It was good, all those things that you mentioned, but maybe you want to comment on that.
It's in the book. It's all in the book. The rest. Yeah,
but it was branding, and it was employee relations, and you know, anyway, so I had trouble connecting it with PR. But yeah, nice job.
Okay, so now that everybody's done, I just want to make one last comment on your presentations. every team had somebody that was reading from cards or reading from the phone, or, you know, one of the killers in when you're making a formal presentation to a client, if you don't know this by heart, I mean, if you're sitting there by heart, I mean, if you're sitting there reading, that is like the kiss of death for me. If I was on the client side and I'm seeing that, now of course you guys are just learning and you're doing this for maybe the first time as a real case, you better come in knowing your lines and if, knowing enough that you don't have to look at the card, and knowing enough that if you forget something, you just go right into the next point. It's okay, you know, what the client did, what you know what you need to know. The client doesn't have to know every single line. So please don't read, you know, don't turn around to look at the PowerPoint or the presentation in order to get your points. You really need to know this, be aggressive, have a lot of energy, because sometimes when you stop to look, the energy just goes right down, and the whole team's energy goes down. So you got to make sure that you have high energy, you know this stuff, and you move forward. Okay?